Tonight on NewsWatch, budget battle in Washington. The risk of a shutdown looms as lawmakers fight over funding.
Plus, Pope Francis charges the Catholic Church to offer more grace. A look at the issues he says the church should be focusing on.
And the Feast of Tabernacles will take you inside the special tents that Jewish people use to celebrate God's deliverance. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. The House has voted to fund the government for another 75 days. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. The measure would begin next month, but with one big catch: no funding for Obamacare. Senate Democrats are threatening to kill it. And as John Magee reports, they'll get their chance next week.
Republicans are often accused of trying to shut down the government, but this time they voted to fund the government while defunding the unpopular Obamacare law. And that has Democrats seeing red.
This place is a mess.
I've never seen a group of people more extreme than the hard-right Republicans in the House right now.
The GOP plan keeps the government running until December 15th, but terminates money for Obamacare. Enrollment for healthcare exchanges is scheduled to start October 1st.
We had a victory today for the American people. And frankly, we also had a victory for common sense.
According to a recent NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, 44% of Americans think the president's healthcare law is a bad idea. Only 31% think it's a good idea.
He's expected to be
but
here
the
to
top
speak
Senate Democrat says they'll stop GOP plans to starve the measure.
I want to be absolutely crystal clear. Any bill that defunds Obamacare is dead. It's a waste of time, as I've said before.
And although President Obama blames Republicans for threats to shut down the government, he has said he'll veto any measure that holds up his health care plan. And he told the crowd in Kansas City he'll fight the Republicans tooth and nail.
I mean, I don't mind them disagreeing with me. They don't like the Affordable Care Act. They'd rather have people not have health insurance. You know, I'm happy to have that debate with them. But you don't have to threaten to blow the whole thing up just because you don't get your way.
Money to keep the government going runs out at the end of September. And that virtually guarantees that next week will produce another battle royal on Capitol Hill. John Magee, CBN News.
For more on the battle over the budget, we turn now to Phil Kerpen. He's an author and the president of American Commitment. Phil, should Americans be concerned over a possible government shutdown?
Well, Mark, I don't know if it's going to go that far. Obviously, there are major points of disagreement between the Republican House and the Democratic Senate and the White House. I suspect they'll get some kind of deal done before next week. If it does go into a shutdown type scenario, though, we should bear in mind that's not the end of the world. We had a shutdown in 95. We had another one in 96. The essential functions of government do continue in a shutdown type scenario. And things like paying the troops and so forth, you would hope that even if they can't agree on anything else, they could at least get those things done. And so I don't think it will happen, and if it does, I don't think it'll be quite as bad as a lot of people have suggested.
Democrats in the Senate as well as the president say this plan that passed through the House has no chance. What was the purpose of passing it?
Well, I think you've got to start out from a strong position. And as your package there noted, the American people overwhelmingly disapprove of this health care law. It's costing a lot of people their jobs. It's costing a lot of people shifts at work and a lot of hours that they need to make ends meet. It's having a very negative impact economically. And also, I think it's going to have a very negative impact on people's health. So, of course, when you feel so strongly about something, you want to take the strongest position possible. And the House has let out with stopping the law entirely. Obviously, the Senate's not going to go for that. But I think there's room for some middle ground, possibly delaying some or all of the law until it can be made more workable and fixed so that it can work better.
Let's talk a little bit more about what you said earlier. What really happens if no deal is made and the budget runs out?
Well, first of all, what doesn't happen is an end to Social Security checks. Those go out automatically no matter what. So if you're worried about your Social Security check, that will not be impacted. It's important because sometimes people get that wrong. Pretty much what happens is with the essential functions of government continue to go on, continue to be funded. Everything that's classified as non-essential is shut down. So some of the things that you would notice, national parks and monuments, those all get closed down. A lot of your sort of regular everyday government government agencies that you might have to deal with, for whatever reason, for permitting or for your work, what have you, those get shut down. And in particular, in this environment, because they haven't passed an appropriations bill for the Department of Defense, military pay could be impacted. That did not happen in the shutdowns in the 1990s. And as I said, I would expect that they would at least be able to pass a measure, I would hope, to prevent that from happening and make sure that our troops do get paid.
All right. Phil Kerpen of American Commitment. Thanks for your time, Phil. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Hobby Lobby's case against the Obamacare contraception mandate might go before the U.S. Supreme Court. Federal attorneys asked the court to hear it. The Green family owns the chain of stores and says the regulation goes against their Christian values. Their lawyer, Kyle Junkins, says, quote, "We're confident that the Supreme Court will reject the government's extreme position and hold that religious liberty is for everyone, including people who run a business."
President Obama plans to impose tough new regulations on the coal industry. The administration introduced today a proposal that will, for the first time, limit carbon emissions. The new standards set by the EPA essentially ban coal-fired power plants. That's because most won't be able to meet the emission requirements without installing expensive new technology. The only plants able to implement the changes will be those receiving hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants and tax credits. The coal industry finds itself in a fight for survival.
Yeah, Mr. Obama's proposal for new regulations comes at a time when coal is already struggling to compete with cheap natural gas. And as Caitlin Burke reports, it's a fight the coal industry may not win.
From Appalachia to Wyoming, thousands of coal miners are joining the ranks of the unemployed. According to government estimates, the U.S. is set to close a record number of coal-fired power plants over the next 3 years, choosing instead to go with more renewable energy sources. Coal's share of U.S. electricity generation sank to a record low of 37% last year. That's down from 50% in 2005, and the future looks even bleaker. But in places like Mingo County, West Virginia, coal still pays the bills. West Virginia is the country's second largest coal producer. But as the demand continues to decline, thousands of miners and workers connected to the coal industry are losing their jobs.
You go to your kids' baseball games and people can't enjoy their family time, the time with their kids, because the talk of the whole town is actually about a layoff or about a job shutting down.
William Rainey, president of the West Virginia Coal Association, says clean coal technology isn't being given a chance.
It's got a long history, and people rely on that history to refer to it as a dirty fossil fuel. And you get your hands black when you touch it, and it's dusty. But we've learned how to control the dust, and we're getting better every day.
Even so, President Obama put fighting climate change on his priority list. And according to the White House, that means coal has to go. It also means more than 5,000 coal jobs could be going with it over the next 2 years. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
In other news, Pope Francis today told a group of Catholic doctors to refuse to perform abortions. That comes a day after calling on the Catholic Church to put more emphasis on grace and mercy and less on moral issues like abortion and homosexuality. In an interview with an Italian Jesuit magazine, the Pope said the Church focuses too much on, quote, small-minded rules. Francis says the most important thing is the first proclamation, Jesus Christ has saved you. Then we can talk about everything else. Pope Francis did say that church teaching has not changed on issues like abortion and homosexuality.
Now to discuss this new emphasis by the Pope is Ashley McGuire. She's a senior fellow at the Catholic Association. Ashley, what are your thoughts on what the Pope said?
Well, I think it's funny. This Pope makes news every single day, it seems like. So now what everybody's talking about is what he said today. He came out and made very strong comments about abortion. So yesterday, everybody was spinning out of control, thinking that the Pope was suggesting that the Catholic Church was going to abandon its teachings on controversial issues. And today he came out and affirmed them. So I think if you go and look at the text of what he said, and it's a very long interview, I'm still getting through it myself, everything that he says is completely in line with church teaching about love, loving your neighbor, loving the sinner. And in fact, the first thing that he says, he's asked the question, who are you? And he responds, I'm a sinner. So I think everything that he said was beautiful and great. And I'm excited to see people praising what he said, but I think there's been a lot that's been taken out of context.
Okay, interesting. Well, do you think perhaps the church is losing focus on what's most important, the gospel?
Well, in some ways, that's sort of what he's suggesting. And, I don't know if he goes as far as saying the church is losing focus, but I think that he's really tapped into something, not just with this letter, but with everything that he's saying, writing, and doing, which is to remind the world and to remind Christians and to remind Catholics that what we are is first and foremost about the gospel and about trying to live our lives the way that Jesus did, which was in service to others. And that's a foundational message of the Catholic Church. And I think that what he is doing is helping to refocus the world on that.
So you say the Pope is making a lot of news, which can be a good thing, but others say the Pope is diminishing the Church's stand on things like abortion and homosexuality. What do you think?
I don't think so. He's come out and said several times, these teachings are what they are. I fully support them. And again, I think what he's trying to do is reach out to the people who either don't understand the teachings, and he's saying, look, they are what they are. No, it's no secret where the Catholic Church stands. So I'm going to sort of expand and refocus other aspects of my ministry.
Well, the Catholic Church has always been very strong on the right to life issue, which I personally really admire and am thankful for. Ashley McGuire, thanks so much for your insights today and for being with us.
Thank you.
The man who shot a security guard at the Family Research Council has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. In August 2012, Floyd Lee Corkins shot Leo Johnson while trying to enter the building. Corkins was targeting the FRC because of its views, including its opposition to gay marriage. He said he planned to kill as many employees as possible and then smeared Chick-fil-A sandwiches on their faces as a political statement. At the hearing, Johnson said he forgave Corkins for shooting him.
Coming up, how one group is ministering to the disabled in Africa.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, in theaters October 4th.
If you're living with diabetes and have Medicare or private insurance, here is some great news. Call United States Medical Supply today, and we'll send you the smallest glucose meter in the world, absolutely free.
It only takes a speck of blood, and it gives me my results in 5 seconds.
And there's no coding for easier, more accurate results.
Don't let diabetes get in the way of living. Give us a call today at United States Medical Supply and get the smallest meter in the world for free.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, in theaters October 4th.
If you're living with diabetes and have Medicare or private insurance, here is some great news. Call United States Medical Supply today, and we'll send you the smallest glucose meter in the world, absolutely free.
It only takes a speck of blood, and it gives me my results in 5 seconds.
And there's no coding for easier, more accurate results.
Don't let diabetes get in the way of living. Give us a call today at United States Medical Supply and get the smallest meter in the world for free.
Internationally known Baptist minister and Experiencing God author Henry Blackaby is missing. He was last seen Thursday afternoon leaving his Atlanta home driving a black Lincoln. His family says he is diabetic and may be disoriented. Volunteers are helping search for Blackaby. His family says they're trusting the Lord for his safe return and are thankful for the outpouring of prayer and support that they've had.
The wife of the American pastor imprisoned in Iran for his faith says her husband remains bold for Jesus Christ in prison. Magee Abedini recently spoke to students at Liberty University. She said in spite of being tortured and asked to deny his faith in Christ and return to Islam, Pastor Saeed is a light for Jesus in one of the worst prisons in the world.
They've told him many times that they would free him and allow him to return to our family, the kids and I, if he would deny his Christian faith. And he stood strong in that prison. He's led many, over 30 people to Christ in that prison.
Wow, it's powerful. A special prayer vigil for Pastor Saeed is being held worldwide Thursday, September 26th. That's the one-year anniversary of his imprisonment in Iran. For more information, log on to our website, cbnnews.com.
In many societies, disabled children are oftentimes discarded, especially in developing countries. Their needs are ignored. That's why a U.S. ministry has sent interns to Africa, and they're working to become better advocates for people with disabilities. Heather Sells tells us more.
Katie Dickey suffers from spinal muscular atrophy, but that doesn't keep her from competing in wheelchair soccer or working on a college degree. And it didn't keep her from coming to rural Uganda. Katie traveled to Africa with a small group of interns organized by the Johnny and Friends Ministry.
When the children see me in a wheelchair, see me, even though we look different, we have the same way to get around. And I truly believe that God has opened so many doors for me to connect with these children on a heart level.
The team connected with more than 100 children at a special needs school in Uganda's capital, Kampala. They encouraged teachers and worked with children in the classroom. The volunteers came to realize that these kids are the fortunate ones, as students told them of other children living in far more difficult situations.
And they talked about the children with disabilities in the villages that are sometimes locked away or killed for their disability, and they realized how blessed they are and what an impact God has had in their lives.
As the interns ventured out to rural areas, they met Francis Munyiga, whose family was killed by rebels. Francis lives alone in a dark hut and repairs shoes to support himself.
It was really heartbreaking hearing his story and hearing all the things he's been through, losing his family and the isolation of disability and not having anyone to really support him or love him.
The interns gave Francis a battery-powered lantern to light up his home. They also connected him with a church that cares for disabled people.
And being in a church where he was welcomed and people, they welcomed him in and celebrated him. I think that was just life-changing for him to see God's people loving on him.
Many Ugandans with disabilities have been told they are worthless, a shame, and a burden to their families. But the visiting team brought a different message, that every person has value. They prayed for them and loved them. They also shared practical caregiving tips with family members. Back at the school, the volunteers spent time one-on-one with students and taught them Bible stories and songs.
The children here are just like the children back home. They just want to be loved and just to spend time together. There was one little boy who I got to talk with, and he was telling me about how his parents just left him on the side of the road. And he asked me if I could look for his parents when I went back home to America. And I told him that my parents did the same thing, and I didn't know my parents. And it was okay because me and two of the other friends that were with us, that we loved him and that Jesus loved him and that everything was going to be okay.
Johnny and friends hope that taking interns overseas will motivate and equip them for missions and for advocacy for people with disabilities around the world.
They always say that, we want God to break our heart for what breaks his, and that's what's happening up here in northern Uganda. And I see these families and these parents, grandparents, that they've not taken the easy way out. They have decided that their child means something to them. Their child with a disability has value in their eyes and in God's eyes.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, CBN News heads to Israel for an inside look at the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles.
hang on. Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Well, the Festival of Tabernacles is underway, and for thousands of years, Jewish people around the world have celebrated the feast.
They do it by following the biblical instruction to live in temporary dwellings like tents. In tonight's Focus Report, Julie Stahl visits one of those sukkahs to see how it brings the Jewish people closer to God.
It's an ancient biblical commandment that's still being kept today. Some call it a Jewish camping trip, but with the conveniences of home.
Shalom.
Hi,
Welcome.
Shalom.
We're so glad
Thank
to have
you.
you here with us in our sukkah.
Yes, thank you.
We're here in our sukkah, which is really the home away from homes for this whole week of the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot.
Like many Israelis and Jewish people around the world, Seth and Te'ena Ben Chaim build a sukkah or booth on the back porch of their Jerusalem apartment every year.
It helps us remember, first of all, we're commanded to remember the Exodus from Egypt and how we needed to wander through the desert for 40 years without permanent dwellings. But it also reminds us that even though we've been brought into the land of Israel, we haven't reached our final destination.
So tell us about the sukkah itself. How do you make a sukkah?
And the main thing is that it's a roof that will make us feel that we're open to the elements. And then we need
why
to.
Is that?
Well, because otherwise we'd be in the protection of our homes in some ways, and we're supposed to be in this flimsy tabernacle so that we can remember that ultimately we're under Hashem's protection.
Most sukkahs are decorated at least in part by the children. Families eat, sleep, study, and play together in their temporary houses for a whole week. Despite the camping conditions, it's considered a joyful time.
And you can focus on the real important things like relationships and just sitting down and studying the Word and talking with the children about God's faithfulness.
Jonathan and his sister Rebecca enjoy the holiday so much, Jonathan made his treehouse into a sukkah.
This for Sukkot.
Just for Sukkot. And that too. That's very pretty. So you decorated your sukkah up here?
Yes.
Wow. Another part of the Sukkot celebration, recorded in Leviticus 23, is bringing a special fruit and branches to rejoice before the Lord.
We offer them to Hashem, all 4 of these, in our prayers. Every morning we wave them in many different directions, and we really look to above. And that's what this type of roof helps us remember too, is we're looking to above, because that's where our help is going to come from.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Up next, why one of the richest men in the world surprised a Dairy Queen manager in Minnesota with a phone call.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
What would you do if you got a call from the second richest man in America?
I would say, hello, it's good to hear from you, finally. Well, that's what happened this week to a Dairy Queen manager. The camera people are laughing at me. Okay, last week, Joey Prusak saw a woman steal $20 from a visually impaired customer. The 19-year-old manager gave the blind man money out of his own pocket. This week, Joey's getting worldwide attention. He's even been personally called by major Dairy Queen shareholder Warren Buffett.
We were just chit-chatting. It was just a little talk that we had. He goes, I just wanted to call and say thank you for all that you did. It means an awful lot to me.
Joey's story went viral when an email from a witness was posted to Facebook. $20 bills keep showing up in his mailbox from people inspired by his actions.
What a great story.
Good deeds
Yeah.
pay off literally in
They
this
do.
case.
They sure do. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.